if you never leave the house, you don't need an immune system.
You're about to leave the house
I don't like
and
it.
go to a different state.
I don't like it.
We got
He's going to do great on that airplane.
different
that
part of
tight
the country.
quarters.
So long as it doesn't jump
That's-
and skip around when it
Oh,
lands.
it's going to jump.
That's
and
only
skip
going to be
around.
like an hour and a half flight, though.
It's 2 hours, yeah.
Is it? Okay. I was like, that can't be that long. It's not.
I'm just talking about getting sick.
Man, that sucks. Y'all are right at the cutoff where you don't even get a movie. Like, it's just short enough where
With the
they're like.
amount of devices you could have now and stuff like that.
I don't know, they've got like Wi-Fi on planes or something.
I know, but the best thing is just having them put it on and you just be like, yeah, whatever.
My plane didn't because it was so new they had never turned it on yet. So that 4.5 hour ride was no Wi-Fi, no phone.
I don't think I'd want
No.
to fly on
Yeah.
a brand new
Nuh-uh.
plane.
We were literally the
Better
maiden.
than an old one.
I want them to shake
You're
it
the
out, make
maiden
sure it
journey.
works a little bit.
Yeah, I would have been like, I want a different plane. I
They're
want one
like-
that's.
They're like,
proven.
congratulations, guys! This is a brand new plane, and you're the first passengers. And we're like, I don't know how I feel about that.
I would have been like, get me off of this.
I wouldn't
thing.
announce that.
Yeah.
They said they had like 4 test flights before that. But
Oh,
I'm like,
that's-
oh,
Sure.
That
wonderful.
makes it better. It took off and we landed like 5 minutes later, so it was good.
They need to fire that pilot. He hit the pad so hard, I don't know how we didn't blow every single tire. I mean, we literally bounced off 2 or 3 times and slid sideways.
Little did you know it was his first flight too.
Probably.
It's like, yay, everything's new.
That would explain a lot.
That would have been awful.
It was so bad that when we finally came to a stop, the entire plane was applauding.
Yeah, they're like, yay.
Yeah.
Surely you're kidding.
Yeah, it was great.
Don't call me Shirley. And I'm not kidding.
People are like, what are they talking about?
Well, today we are talking about moonshine. And I was hoping that one of you guys would have some moonshine. So, hi and welcome to the Y'all Ain't Right podcast. I'm Brittany. I'm here with Nick, Tyler, and Todd. And before we get started, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts. But I was very disappointed that I know that Todd, I know you've got some moonshine in your house.
I might have one
I've been
open
to your
bottle.
house and you've had
Hold on.
moonshine.
I think I said no too quickly, but because I think I do have one unopened. But
So I asked and then you didn't even look around?
well, I thought I didn't have any, but I think early on I bought something of, but it's probably a collector's item because I think it was one of the old racers. I can't remember who it was now. Came out with a
Like a NASCAR racer or
Prohibition.
something.
Yeah. One of
Johnson or something?
I don't think it was Jimmy. It was someone before that.
The Rainbow Warrior.
Older than that. Well, around that period, but probably was later in their career. I'm trying to think who it was. Not Jimmy Johnson. Somebody,
like Rusty Wallace or somebody like that.
I don't know. I mean, Google the machine.
No, I mean, a lot of those guys get into all sorts of brands. of
Yeah,
bourbon
but it
or
was
tequila
before
or
they all
whiskey
started
or-
really doing, like, I'm talking probably 2008-ish.
Oh. I guess it would be someone like Rusty Wallace.
I have no idea.
I thought today would be a good day to drink a little moonshine while we did the...
Plus, I got stuff to do. I was afraid. 9:30 in the morning.
He's like, I'm not bringing moonshine at 9:30.
On New Year's Eve?
I don't know.
I got things I got to do.
I know you were like, I'll be there at 9:30, and I'm like, she's there early every now and then. I'm not doing that.
Tyler's like, she's not going to be there.
I got here even earlier than that.
Yeah,
We've been sitting here waiting for you.
I would not have expected.
And I was
it.
here way before that.
Tyler's like, the one day I'm like, you know what?
Junior Johnson. I
No
think.
one shows up on time. So I'm just
Exactly.
going to take my time. They're 9:30. They're like calling, texting, like, where are you?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm on the way.
Junior Johnson came out with.
Junior John. Okay.
Good old
1 point
JJ.
for Brittany for being right.
Yeah. I probably want to open it though.
It wasn't Jimmy Johnson, though.
I had it.
I didn't say Jimmy, I just said Johnson.
That's true.
Now that's not real moonshine. I had some real moonshine. It was either drank or evaporated in a mason jar. I can't remember.
So it might have evaporated.
It was drank if you can't remember.
Probably. It was above my sink, so like every once in a while, if I was doing dishes.
So you know what's quantified as real moonshine is there's not really a definition of
Right.
moonshine.
Well,
it just comes from
Not paying
sugar.
taxes. Yeah.
Yeah, and most of the time it's corn, but
Well, to me, a real moonshine is something that is made in
It's an illegal corn
Yeah, exactly.
mash
Yeah.
base.
Yeah.
That-
white,
Yeah.
unaged, I I guess just really unaged because
And it's got to be made in them there hills.
no colored. Well, I guess now
That's
they put
the big thing.
artificial. Well, I don't know about artificial flavors, but now they make flavors. I guess they always did because they used to make
Oh, like
brandy and stuff like that too. So
What's the big one up there? It's Smoky Mountain Moonshine,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not real moonshine.
because they pay taxes.
Yeah.
Have you ever done
that?
it?
And it's just not. It's just not real moonshine. Like it's not. It's
like-
commercial. It's commercialized.
It's like a flavored vodka.
Yeah,
almost.
it's-
It's not
yeah.
even.
Well,
like,
that's what really. I mean, it is.
It's
but
more of a
it's
flavored
made,
liqueur.
Vodka is made from potatoes, typically.
Yeah.
Whereas
It doesn't have the true shine.
moonshine
to
is
it,
made
though.
from
Corn,
corn.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even think it has the alcohol content of vodka. I think it's more equivalent to like a bottle of wine. Like it's a liqueur basically.
Well, some of them, not all. A lot of those moonshines are like what, 35% or something.
Yeah,
So
they're.
I was thinking it was lower for some
70
reason.
proof. I don't know. I don't know.
It's
I don't.
100 proof usually.
It
I would
probably
say if you get
freeze.
the real deal, it's like 100 proof.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
But
some of the
that's-
bourbon I
that's what
drink
I'm
is
saying, though.
120, 130.
And that Smoky Mountain Blue Flame or whatever, it's like 120 or 130.
I mean, that's what. Yeah.
That's what I expect when I hear moonshine. Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, burns. I mean,
Yeah.
true. When I first moved to Eastern Kentucky, we used to drink some moonshine. And, I mean, there was a couple times, we taxi it to the bar to go to and, like, going down the steps, we were like, it was
holding on to that handrail.
very slow trip. And, I mean, the giggles, and it didn't take much. I mean, you just start passing around a jar and,
yeah.
yeah, it gets turned pretty quick.
It was tough to find alcohol during the Prohibition.
Little gin and juice.
That's why Todd knows where all the speakeasies are.
That's true.
I was reading about the cars that had like the different compartments that you could stash moonshine in and stuff. And I was like, man, I need one of those cars so that I can hide my Taco Bell bags from Brett.
Taco Bell bags.
Yeah. He always catch it. I try to throw it away in the trash outside before I go inside, and I always forget. And he'll come out and he'll be like, "You went to Taco Bell or Burger King?" I'm like,
Yeah, sure did.
Is he mad because you went there and didn't bring him anything?
Yeah.
Or yeah.
Have you noticed how expensive Taco Bell's gotten?
I know.
yeah.
Like,
Why?
I mean, that used to be the go-to for broke college student, cheap after hours meal.
I know. I missed their like 79-cent tacos.
Yeah.
Like, what
No,
happened to that?
Like Lakin and I went
$1
and got Hudson some stuff, and it was. I mean, we all just were like, we'll just get one of those taco packs. It's like 12 tacos. That's
Yeah.
plenty. Well, you don't know. It was like $25, $30, something like that. And I was like,
Which is crazy because
It's tacos.
It used to be like $12.99 for that whole
Yeah.
thing.
and they're okay. They're not great, but they're just good. They were good when they were cheap. Now that they're expensive, I'm like, this is not good.
Yeah,
This is
no.
not good food.
Times are changing.
Yeah.
Not for the
That's-
better either.
That's a bad thing when Taco Bell becomes bad and too expensive.
Haven't they seen Encino Man? How's Taco Bell supposed to win the fast food wars with
Well, they got-
prices like that?
I think it was Demolition Man with
That's
Wesley
what it was,
Snipes,
yeah.
where Taco Bell takes over the world.
That's what it was. Demolition Man
And
and Encino
everything
Man.
is
Those
Taco
are
Bell.
Those are two completely different
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah, okay, that's where I thought you were going.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
in Demolition Man, it's like, they wake him up from that cryogenically frozen
Yeah.
thing like 100 years later or whatever it is to face off against his nemesis bad guy, and he's a cop, and he's like, I'm hungry, where are we going? They're like, we're going fancy tonight to welcome you back or whatever. And he goes, okay, what do I wear? And they're like, tux and this, that, and the other. And he's like, all right, where are we going? They're like, Taco Bell. And he's just like, what? Taco Bell? They're like, oh yeah, it's world class.
This is at least the second or third time we've brought that up in the podcast.
Yeah, I
But
definitely
I
feel
can't
like I've
help it.
watched
It's just
this
so
movie.
it's such a
It
it's such a
is.
good thing though. Like
Anytime Taco Bell gets brought up, Demolition Man is going to
it,
get brought
it
up.
has to. It
I can't
has
tell
to.
you the last time I even went to Taco Bell.
That's probably a really good thing, Todd.
After drinking some moonshine, maybe.
It's been a long
well,
time.
no, he worked at restaurants. So he just he probably had like a car stash full of good food
I
from the
literally-
bar.
Buy taco shells everywhere and make them myself.
It's going to be better than Taco
So
Bell.
that's what I do
Yeah.
now.
I don't know. I made some the other day with like one of those store-bought taco seasoning packets,
Yeah,
and
that's what you put.
it was so salty.
Oh,
Yeah, I never used half of that.
I usually
Mix.
just make my own.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so salty. Maybe I should have read it before I just
Probably.
ripped it open and poured it
Probably
in.
supposed to be 2 pounds of beef instead of.
So you probably didn't have enough meat and water. for it to be that salty.
I followed the instructions. I just didn't read how much salt was in it.
Then they neglected to tell me whenever we go to Pokeworks that I always call it guacamole. All it is avocado, but I call it guacamole every time.
You're like, I'll take guac.
No one said anything to me. He was big. I was like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, wasn't even
An
registering
Asian.
that I was.
But they still put it on there, though, right?
Yeah.
So see,
But, I
they-
mean, it was just funny.
Wait a minute.
I was calling it guacamole, and it was just
At an Asian
avocado.
place.
It
Yeah.
was hilarious.
Yeah. I'm like, what?
That sounds about right.
I'm like, what are you talking about?
Oh.
It's like, oh,
We went with Marisa, and he's like, this and this and guacamole, and I just started laughing, and I was like, you do that every time. He's like, what? And I was like, that's not guacamole, it's just avocado. And Marisa was laughing. The lady serving it was laughing. She was like, I knew what he meant.
I didn't realize I was doing it.
You got to respect your elders. Don't say anything.
Because whenever I buy it, I just buy the mush, not the guacamole, because I don't like jalapenos.
Not all guacamole has jalapeno.
Most of it does, especially the store bought.
Most of it, I think, has pico, is what makes it guacamole, right?
No, it's tomatoes, cilantro,
Onion.
onion,
It's pico.
and
Lime.
Literally.
lime, and usually jalapenos.
So like,
But basically, it's
So
jalapeno pico.
I make it homemade. I never put jalapenos in it.
I don't either.
But
I don't like jalapenos.
I've never even thought of that. I might try it, though. I love jalapenos.
How did we get on that?
Moonshine.
We were talking food, and we went
Yeah, well,
full circle.
it's
Yeah.
also I'm starving, so you brought up Taco Bell. That can't happen.
That's fair.
You know, I used to grow up, well, at one point in my life when we lived in North Carolina, I lived a couple miles from where Popcorn Sutton was. He was born in Maggie Valley and then like lived throughout. And I guess he ended up in, what was it, like Newport or
Newport,
something
yeah.
like that at some point. But yeah, we were right there at old Starvin' Marvin's, like right above where he was. But I mean, I thought that he was an old man. That moonshine, it'll age you. I tell you.
Working outside, and yeah, because he smoked all his life too. I mean,
Man was a legend.
Any picture you ever saw of him, he had a cigarette and usually moonshine. So I'd say he had a pretty hard life. But that must be a huge family, because if you live or go over there, you ultimately run in, he was my second uncle or something like that all the time. Like everyone's related to him somehow. And I'm sure there's some embellishments there and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But yeah, if you work over there, I used to, and people are like, I can bring you in some, it's always the recipe,
Yeah, apparently his nickname came from the fact that he just really liked popcorn.
Hey, I mean, I don't blame him. It's good. It's like an all-time great snack.
Although he probably had a lot on hand making moonshine out of corn. And
Yeah.
He probably tried a bunch of different stuff. 'Cause
probably
they
lived
used to
off of
make
it.
all
He was
kind of-
skinny.
Yeah, he did. He was thin.
Must not have eaten that much popcorn then.
They probably make. How much popcorn could you eat and not gain weight? I feel like you'd have to eat a lot of.
I think you'd have
It's worth
to
a
eat
study.
a ton.
Although you put butter on it too. And
Well, that's the difference. You start throwing the butter and salt, and
Maybe he didn't. Maybe he just ate raw popcorn, which
Yeah.
sounds terrible.
and I'm
That
sure
does
they
sound
just
awful.
made moonshine out of what they could get a hold of too. I mean, fruits and stuff like that.
So apparently, in some of the more rural areas, one of the ways that they would flavor the moonshine was with roadkill,
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
gosh.
or from dying animals. I guess I call it roadkill. But it gave it an earthy flavor.
I don't know. Never heard anything.
I would
like
rather
no.
go flavorless.
I said, why would you
And that's
even
the
want
bad
flavor?
thing about moonshine. You don't know what you were getting.
Yeah.
I mean,
Pine needles were also sometimes used, which I could see that maybe like pine needles. I've heard you can kind of make an off-brand, what is it, like
Tea?
Sprite, out of like pine needles and lime juice
that.
That sounds sketchy.
Yeah, I
and
don't know.
mint.
I mean,
Maybe
I,
not the
I
mint.
know there's pine needle tea.
right.
but I
that's
didn't know
where
about
I
all that other
thought she was
stuff.
going with it, but I didn't
Yeah.
think we were going Sprite.
It's like the wintergreen mint flavor comes from like pine related.
Drinking
Yeah.
Tanqueray, but that's I don't know
Gin.
what I don't know what they use to flavor Tanqueray, but Tanqueray to me tastes like pine needles.
Very piney.
Gin just tastes like flowers.
Yeah, there's all kind of
Gin is flowers. It's
I don't
just
know.
flowers.
like Bombay and Tanqueray are like night and day difference. In
Gin
flavor.
is like just chewing on pine needles.
Yeah.
I don't know what actually gives that
I don't know. I've never looked into
flavor.
that.
I'm not a big floral-y kind of like rose water
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Did you guys ever have did you have shine runners in your family or anything like that? Like, I know I did. My grandmother's grandfather was a shine runner.
I don't think so.
He actually used shine money to open a general store, and he ran the general store for a long time and used it to launder money because that's where
Was
All
anyone
right.
in your family not a criminal?
I think Tyler's
because
got,
that's where the shine money was going, was back through the general store.
Tyler's got a bunch of criminals.
You're on a watch list somewhere.
Somewhere, yeah.
And a serial killer. or
Don't
something?
ever
I mean,
do 23andMe.
I was gonna say, yeah, don't
Oh,
get your DNA
man.
out there.
Yeah, I
You
should've-
should do it.
I should do
You
it.
should do it. Just to see what pops.
I should do
Door
it.
be knocking. Tyler, we need to talk to you.
We found him.
I don't know of any, and I know there was a big whiskey rebellion in Pennsylvania, like in the
My family's from
Depression era.
Alabama and South Carolina, so there was really
Yeah.
Yeah.
no one running any shine down there.
My husband's family, I know that they,
Ran it to Atlanta and out of
Well, I
Atlanta.
mean, like relative to Knoxville. I mean, we were down there, so I don't know. But as far as we came up here, I guess in the
there was
50s.
moonshine everywhere, though. I mean,
So
My family's from the hills, so.
I say, yeah. Well, that's what I was getting at. Like you're more local than I am, I guess, ancestrally speaking.
Deep-rooted Appalachian.
Yeah.
I think it was in my husband's family.
the moon people.
They were related to the Kirkland Bushwhackers, but I can't remember if that was moonshine related or not.
The Bushwhackers. That's a good one.
Is that a mountain gang?
I say it
Like the
sounds like it.
Hatfields and McCoys?
Probably.
That's what
Yeah,
it sounds like.
something like that. Yeah.
I'm sure they were running shine.
Oh, yeah, they were. There's some, now that we've had the, explosion of distilleries and stuff
Yeah.
like that, they were one of the McCoys and over there and stuff like that. They've put some distilleries in West Virginia and Pikeville, Eastern Kentucky, and Virginia, stuff like that.
If we had
So,
runners, I don't know about
yeah.
it.
Yeah, one of the first distilleries was opened in like 2005, but I've been to the Smoky Mountain Moonshine, and you can do a tasting there, and also Junction 35 recently. That was pretty good.
Where is that?
It's in Pigeon Forge, close to the island.
Oh, it's okay.
It's like the new little. It used to be a strip mall.
Is that the only place they can do that? Because
No.
that's where all the moonshine
Almost all the
distilleries
ones
are.
do. Well, you just see it because it's a
Touristy.
concentration.
Because it's-
Right,
okay.
exactly.
All right.
And they used to be free. Like, you could just go and do the moonshine tasting, and you could go to 2 or 3 of them.
So
and-
Junction 35, whenever you eat there, you get to do the moonshine tasting for free.
Oh, okay.
At Smoky Mountain, it's like $5
It's like- yeah.
for entry, but then they
Oh,
give you
that's not
a
bad.
$5. You use that wristband to get
Yeah.
$5 off of anything that you want to buy there. And they also have a little bar in the back that you can drink at. But the sweet tea one was the one that I was like, that is not. There was another one that I can't remember. It was at Junction 35, and it was essentially. It was tequila, basically. They were like trying to call it moonshine, and I can't remember.
Throw some agave in there or something.
It was agave moonshine. That's what it was, and they gave it to us, and I was like, "This is tequila."
They're like, no, it's moonshine.
They're like, "Well, moonshine isn't defined by anything specific," and I was like, "Yeah, but
This is
tequila is,
tequila.
and that's tequila."
You're trying to pass this off.
Yeah.
We get it.
So alcohol consumption is going down. They say they have a big
Yeah.
surplus of tequila in Mexico, and I forget what the percentage is. The newest generation is drinking less and less.
It's a big difference.
Yeah.
There's the alcohol-free movement now
Yeah.
because there's all of this, like, alcohol-free beer
Mocktails.
and bars that are dry bars, but you still get the experience, but they serve no alcohol at all.
We
That's kinda
live
cool,
next
though.
to a non-alcoholic bar.
Yeah.
And like right next to it, you can hear the music playing whenever they have like a big event night or something.
Yeah.
And they've got a flag out side that is like it says NA, and
Yeah.
it looks like a bar on the outside, and you can go in.
Yeah, that's really cool, especially for people who have struggled with that in the past, but
Yeah.
still want the social experience. They
Still want that
can-
environment.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think that's kind of cool, to be honest. Like, I mean, I haven't drunk alcohol outside of a few drinks when we've gone out a couple times for a happy hour. I'll have a drink or two, but otherwise I really don't sit around and drink anymore.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, it costs way too much money. I'm too old now to risk waking up with a hangover. It's like, it does not end well. So, but that's kind of cool that they're doing that.
Yeah.
Kind of like a bar, like a dry bar.
Well, because you go in there and they still.
Can you get like a cocktail that's not like, is that what you were
Yeah.
talking
Yeah,
about? Like the
mocktail.
mocktail?
Yeah, they just, I mean,
They just
submit
make the drink
And
without
there's
the
a lot
alcohol.
of non-alcoholic beers. I mean, there's always been O'Doul's and stuff like that, but now they've
Yeah,
got
but now-
Heineken.
I was
and
saying now there's like
Corona.
every brand that
Yeah.
has a non-alcoholic, which is cool. I mean, because like you said, I mean, if someone's struggling with it and they still want to have that like feeling.
I'll just bring my own.
Yeah.
Yeah, Todd's the guy that goes to the
With the
dry
flask.
bar with his flask, and he's like, "I'll fix
I'll get
this."
thrown out of the dry bar.
You would.
I bet you would. I bet you would.
We could do the silent disco.
Oh, gosh.
God,
Is that still a thing?
I see it all the time. Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so stupid.
Weren't you somewhere recently?
I
It
thought
was
that
a-
was gone.
Yeah, I was at Merchants of Beer one night, and there were different colored headphones because you could listen to a different
music?
music.
Get out.
That'd be
Yeah.
interesting. Two people dancing to two
It
different.
just looks ridiculous.
Somebody
Just
doing
get out of
techno
here.
and somebody over there hippieing
I've
out on.
I've been to one,
I've never been.
I've never been.
but I never did it. Like, I didn't realize where I was going. Like, I got invited to one, and I didn't realize.
Got handed a set of
Oh,
headphones.
I started walking in, and I was like, "What is this?"
But
I
it's
was like,
so
"I'm not
awkward
doing this."
when you're in an environment where that's not
still
most
went in.
people aren't doing that, but
No, I
there's just a
didn't even
few
go.
people doing it. It's so strange to me, but to
That's-
each their own.
Well, it scared me because I was sitting there watching. Just people just doing this, and their eyes are closed, and they're just kind of like nodding back and forth, and I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "What?" It kind of had this like out of body experience. Like, is this real life? Like, what is happening right now?
That's like going to Electric Cowboy or not Electric Cowboy.
God, that was a long
Yeah.
time
I
ago,
was like,
Todd.
What's the
Cotton Eye Joe.
Cotton Eye Joe and it's male stripper night?
Did
Oh my
you
gosh.
is that even a thing? Do they even do that?
It was forever. It was before COVID.
Oh.
Like and then you could go to the other side, but then once it was up, it was
I don't feel like that's
Kinda weird.
something that Chuck would do.
it was packed. So
That's-
yes, they would do
That's
it.
so funny.
It was, Todd's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it was packed."
It was packed. We didn't know. It was I don't even know. It had to be a Thursday night or something, but I bet they scheduled it. And
Thursday night
pre-planned it,
special.
and
Todd's like, we're going there. Look, they're having a good time.
we still
It's
went
a
in,
whole
but we went to
event."
the other side. It was the back side of it. They had
Sure
it
you did.
cordoned off.
Sure you did.
That's so funny.
But it's a weird crowd. It's a riled up crowd too.
Oh, I
after
bet.
the fact,
Sure, it's just a bunch of women.
but they're riled up, dangerous.
You're like, "That's why we went."
It was a fun night.
Hey y'all, this is Tyler with your real estate tip of the day. When you're looking to buy a home, be sure your realtor checks to see whether or not your preferred area is serviced by a city fire department that's covered by the property taxes, or if it's in one that requires a paid subscription. Knox County is primarily serviced by rural metro, but your area may be different. The monthly cost will typically depend on location, which you can check your specific cost by entering your address on their website. I know nobody likes another monthly fee, but this one is definitely worth it. God forbid you need their services and have an emergency and don't have a subscription. If you do, then you are going to probably have to pay many thousands of dollars. If you have any other questions about this, or if you have other real estate related questions, please let us know at holler@yarpod.com. It's like Wedding Crashers, but at the Cotton Eye Joe.
It's been forever ago.
Todd's like, we're crashing the bachelor party or bachelorette party.
We didn't know what was going on until we got there. Or I don't even think we knew until we got inside and we were like, why didn't anyone tell us this?
And Cotton Eye Joe is not a dry bar.
No.
No,
I don't know where I would.
There's
Sidetracked.
absolutely some crazy nights going on over there.
it's been a long time since I've been thrown out of the Cotton Eye Joe.
Oh, jeez.
I think I've only been a couple times. I hadn't been. For having grown up here, I've only been like 2 or 3 times.
It's been a long time since I've been, but it wasn't even my fault the couple times that I got thrown
Todd's
out.
like, there were weeks where I went 2 or 3 times
Ah.
a week.
Electric Cowboy was our place.
Yeah. They have moonshine there too at the Cotton Eye Joe. Moonshine.
Yeah.
Well, of
Back in
course
the
they
day.
do. They have to have
They have to have
moonshine at Cotton
something.
Eye Joe.
Yeah. They better have something.
Have you ever heard of running alcohol through a Brita filter to distill it further?
That was a big thing on TikTok
Yeah.
for a while.
I was going to say, I've heard it.
I saw
In
that.
college, I heard.
Did it work?
So no, it's a myth.
I was. I didn't
It's a
think
myth.
it worked.
But in college, that was a big rumor. This was way before TikTok. But
Oh, kids would run it through a Brita filter.
they would
thing?
talk
They would
about
buy cheap.
They would say you can buy like Taka or whatever it is, and they would say just run it through a Brita filter. And I
Oh.
was like, I just don't believe that. And I'm pretty sure a quick Google would have debunked any of that. But so don't try this at home, kids. Really don't try this because it doesn't work. It doesn't filter for anything that you're trying to filter it for. It's completely
Because
different.
it's already distilled, number
Yeah.
one. And number two, it's usually,
But
vodka is usually charcoal filtered 10 times
Well,
already.
They were
Yeah.
trying to say that, oh, well, it makes it A, smoother, and B, like, oh, you get less of a hangover because it's more.
In
I don't know.
theory, I could see that. In theory, I could see someone thinking that would work.
Yeah.
But when you
If you
really
did
think
any
about
follow-up.
it, yeah,
It's just already
Any
made with
follow-up.
bad products. And
It's kind of like the whole aerating the wine. Like, does that
Yeah.
really do anything?
yeah.
yes.
It does take some of the sulfites and stuff out, but.
But at the end of the day, it's still the same quality wine that you're gonna.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Todd said. It's about the products that were used to originally make it.
I don't
So-
know though. I'm pretty sure Taka. Like, I don't know if they ever filtered that. I think they just scooped it out, put it in a.
I'm surprised it doesn't melt the plastic handle.
It's basically
Probably
just
glass
gasoline. So it's
What was
pretty
that?
rough.
What was that beer back in the day? That was the
Goebbels?
blue bottle. Blue bottle.
Sky?
No.
You're talking beer.
Yeah, it was like
Beer.
Platinum?
Yeah, well, Platinum was in a blue bottle.
I don't know if it was actually beer. I can't remember. We got our hands on some. We thought we were so cool. It started.
Xena?
Did you?
Yes. What was it?
Zima was
Xena?
like a.
Zima.
It was
It-
like
it came back.
I don't even know what.
I don't even think it was a
It's more like
beer,
a
was
wine
it?
cooler.
Yeah, it was more like a yeah.
Isn't
It
more
had
like
a comeback a few years ago. Yeah.
Wasn't it more like a gin?
That's what I thought. It was more like a clear. It was a clear.
I don't know.
We just called
Yeah,
it
'cause
beer
a lot of
because we didn't know
people
what
put-
we were doing.
Put
I think it was like a wine cooler.
what's the jelly flavored?
Mio?
No, the little candies people used to put in the Zima.
Oh, Jolly Ranchers.
Jolly Ranchers.
Oh,
Yeah,
Jolly
yeah,
Ranchers
yeah,
or
yeah.
Skittles
Yeah.
or stuff like that.
Jolly
yeah.
Ranchers
Yeah.
is what they
Yeah.
would do.
Yeah, I remember that was the first time we got some. We thought we were so cool. We called it beer because we had no idea what it was.
Well,
And I just remember
when-
that was the most disgusting stuff.
Well, in college, Boone's was popular with the girls for drinking.
Well, this wasn't college. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Well, your college and his college were two different
That's true.
eras.
But they were
That's-
drinking.
that's
The
true.
girls were drinking Boone's cheap wine.
Yeah.
Boone's Farm, but and then Bartles and James wine coolers came out.
That was a game changer.
Yeah, they drank all those, and I mean they're technically really back now because you got all the different seltzers and
Oh. It was their White Claw of the day.
yeah, exactly. And
Ain't no law.
Then Zima came out.
When I lived at the apartment, there was an old guy that lived underneath us whose name was Dave, and he was the biggest alcoholic ever. Like he wasn't drunk; he was just functioning. But it was literally like he had to drink to survive at that point.
Oh, man.
So
That's rough.
and there was a store like with walking distance up from us, and he would go there and get the cheapest, nastiest like Colt 45, whatever, those big glass bottle, and he would have like 5 or 6 of those. I'm like, God, how do you even
In one-
drink that
in one
stuff?
night?
Oh, I'm sure. He one time I used to get up because when I worked at Denso, I had to be at work early, and I was leaving at like 5:30 in the morning, and he heard me outside, I guess, and he was outside the door at like 5:30 or 6 in the morning. Like, do you have anything, any kind of vodka, anything?
I'm out.
He's like, I'm out, and I'm detoxing, and I can't stand it, and I'm like, dude, I got to go to work. You are crazy. He was a mess. He was so fun though. He was
So fun.
He was so funny. Like he played guitar in a band, so he would have like him and his buddies out there like putting on a performance in the parking lot. It was great.
That's like 240 ounces of.
It is ridiculous.
Did you guys have Mickey's Big Mouth?
What?
Mickey's, it's a beer, or it was an ale. It was a weird glass bottle, and it like you had to like it was a big cap. Like I literally about cut my finger off underage drinking one time trying to open it. But it was called Mickey's Big Mouths. They were like almost looked like a little root beer barrel kind of thing.
I feel like they would have been sued by Disney so fast.
I was like, I think there's some copyright infringement or something going on there.
Can't register a name.
Oh gosh.
Trademark a name.
Do you know what the shaking for the bubbles and the moonshine is for?
Proof. Well, how quickly it washes down. Usually they can kind of tell the proof on it.
I know that's how they tell the proof, but I don't know how that works.
So it's the large bubbles that dissolve quickly indicate a high alcohol content. Small bubbles that linger mean low alcohol content. So it probably...
I always thought the big bubbles were the...
Because they always cut it with
the
water.
proof, and then the small bubbles indicated quality. So the small indicates low alcohol content?
Small bubbles that linger,
Cool.
yeah, because it probably has more sugar.
More sugar and stuff.
Hold on, yeah.
Yeah.
To the bubbles a little better.
So
those guys just learn over time what characteristic.
Well, apparently Popcorn Sutton at one point at least made moonshine in a bathtub, which is like really dangerous to do because you have to get the temperature just right. And I'm just going to guess that he probably didn't have a temperature controlled house at the time, But
making the mash.
How much
you're
bad
selling
shine
most
do you
of
think
it.
they made back
Well,
then?
you're selling most of it to friends and family, so you don't want to get like a bad reputation. So I'm sure that they had it figured out. A lot of taste testing probably went into that.
Going blind. And
A lot of people going
methanol
blind.
poisoning. Yeah. That's why it always scared me about buying
So can borderline
stovetop.
kill you if you drink the a bad batch.
My great grandparents definitely had like a little jar at their house. Apparently, back when was it? Back, I think in Prohibition, you could get medicinal moonshine prescribed.
Yep.
It's like medical marijuana.
Yeah.
In these days,
Cough
but
medicine.
back then.
They'd be like, oh, the
exactly.
baby's teething, just rub some.
Yep.
Moonshine on it.
Yeah. I'm like, no wonder the baby's not crying anymore. They're sleepy.
Well, that's like the whiskey trick, or rum or whatever. Our parents, they'd be like, just take your finger and dip it in there and just rub it on the baby's gums.
Could you imagine?
Do that nowadays.
I'm sure it still happens.
I'm sure it does.
Just don't say it
you
out
just
loud.
don't talk about it. It's like spanking, It's that thing you just don't
Baby
mention
slept
anymore.
for 5 hours.
Yeah. That's Brittany's trick to keeping Bellamy down all night.
No.
We got you figured out.
Both parents are major sleepers. Like, he was destined to sleep for 12 hours a night.
He got good genes on that one.
Yeah.
I can't sleep at all.
Did you see the post I posted the other day? It was like it was individual people, and it was like 4 pictures, and it was after they took a photo of them after a drink. And they got happier and happier. like if they were wearing a sweater like underneath their shirt, like in the 4th one, that was gone. They were just smiling from ear to ear. Their hair was disheveled. Literally, it was like a progression.
I feel like that was us at Jennifer Skates' party the other day.
We need to do this.
Oh, I saw the
experiment
Santa
with
Claus
you.
picture with you, by the
I wasn't
way.
even drinking, was it? Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah, funny.
Wasn't drinking.
Oh, yeah, I was.
You definitely were.
Yeah, I was pouring. They were all drinking old fashions. I was just.
He's like, I'm not mixing anything. I'm just straight up drinking makers. I'm glad she didn't go with whatever that was. Some super sweet white Russian with peppermint something. I don't know.
I was like,
straight up sugar.
I was like, please don't do
White Russians. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
that. I like the
liquor
bourbon
and
cream.
milk.
but
Yeah.
Like liquor and
If you had the
milk
bourbon,
cream.
not Blanton's, but
Bailey's?
no, it's bourbon cream. It's like a eggnog, but it's bottled straight from the distiller.
That just makes me
It's
kinda
good. It's actually good.
squeamish.
Did
It
you
is-
have it at my house?
It is, yeah.
Last year?
Yeah, I remember trying it.
It was good.
It's good, but it's not something you would like.
No.
It's sweet.
It's so sweet and thick and
Yeah.
I mean, that one, I mean, you could definitely tell it has bourbon in it.
Take a big swig of heavy cream with
Yeah, I
some
just
sugar
feel
in
like
it.
that's just a recipe to get sick quick.
It's not something I would
Is
sit there and
cream
have 10 of
things.
them or anything like that. But
That's why I don't understand White Russians and people that love them. I'm just like, oh.
They're good like sipping drinks if you're planning on having one as
I've
like,
seen people throw them down
like a
all
dessert
night.
drink. Yeah.
And I'm like, that's disgusting.
Crazy.
There's no way.
It's a recipe for disaster, is what that is.
Yeah. I mean, that. Ew.
Those are professional drinkers.
They
though.
are. Yeah.
I started watching the show The Resident, and one of the episodes I was watching yesterday was this old musician guy. He had been a heavy drinker his whole life, and he had quit drinking. He was isolated in a hospital, but somehow his blood alcohol level kept staying up, and he was just eating Twizzlers all the time. He was never drinking, but apparently he had there's some sort of disease that if you've been drinking for a long time, yeast can gather in your stomach and convert sugar into alcohol. Like your body turns into so he was literally just constantly drunk because he was eating Twizzlers all
is
the
that
You're
time.
like
your own distillery.
Was this just a
gonna say.
Hollywoodized thing?
It may be a real thing.
What is
I don't know.
the,
I know
I've
some
seen that.
diabetics will get like if they get pulled over, like they're in a drunken kind of
yeah.
state. But I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, me either.
It sounds like a doctor. What was it? House?
No, it was
The show?
the Resident. But
Is the
something
Resident
like that.
basically like a new house?
I mean, it's not really, but it's a medical
Yeah, it's a
show.
medical
No,
Yeah.
it's somebody living in a new house.
Yeah.
You need
I see
a
what
new
you did there.
house.
That was pretty good. If you need a new house, give me a call.
Yeah.
But I haven't had moonshine in forever. Like
I haven't
real.
Oh, it's been years.
I had a friend that makes like an apple cider kind of moonshine. And apparently you can make moonshine out of apple cider. It's called Applejack.
Apple
I think
That's
I think
funny.
I've had that.
It's pretty good.
My dad's friend makes moonshine in his garage, so I've had some of that stuff. But
Oh man.
Don't rat anyone
I was
out.
going to say, the
Tyler's
revenues
just-
are coming.
I didn't give a name.
Tyler's just got. He's like, oh, we make moonshine in the garage nowadays.
That was years ago too, though. So I don't even know if he still talks to that guy.
Yeah, sure.
What was that explosion?
Apple pie moonshine and blackberry moonshine is what he.
I feel
used
like apple pie is the most popular because I've known a few people that have made it, and I feel like it's almost always apple
It's
pie.
American. It's American.
It was some stout stuff.
I like
My
cherry.
parents used to get apple pie moonshine jelly somewhere in Sevierville.
Yeah, that's pretty common.
I think Pratt's has some too. They have a bunch of
I
different.
mean, just hot take. I'm not a big fan of apple pie.
I don't like apple pie moonshine. I
Yeah.
like the cherry.
I just can't do it.
The
I'd rather
cherries
have-
inside the.
I'd rather have
Soak it in
pecan
it.
pie or. I'm not a fan of apple pie. Like I'll eat it, but
I'll take one for the team.
like at Thanksgiving. Well, yeah, like at Thanksgiving, you've got apple pie, you got pumpkin pie, you have pecan pie, cherry pie, stuff like. Apple's
pie.
the back end for me.
I
Like I'm
can't-
going to everything else but apple.
I say that until I have it, then I like it. Like I've never like, ooh, I can't. I want some apple pie, but when I
Yeah.
eat it,
It's good.
I
I
enjoy
mean,
it. But
I just
can't-
prefer pecan pie or something else.
I
like
can't
pumpkin
remember the last time I've been to any kind of an event and somebody actually made a cherry pie.
Dude, cherry pies are good.
Like they're good, but I
They're-
can't
it's because
tell
of
you.
the texture. I feel like
Like
it's
a
not as
strawberry
popular.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
my
that's
grandma used to make strawberry.
that's one of the
pie.
most underrated pies is a strawberry pie. Like
feel
you,
like-
you never see them,
No.
but when you have them, you're like, wow,
I
that
feel
is
like
really good.
That would be hard to make without knowing what you're doing.
It's a different
You gotta like
jello
sugar it or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's different.
It's really good. Now I want some strawberry
Yeah.
pie.
Yeah, me too.
But I like a cherry moonshine or some sort of berry
See,
in which you soak.
Yeah, the pickles soaked in moonshine. Have you had any of those?
No.
I do not like pickles. Number one, it's popping
You
in my
know,
mouth.
Well, but I think it's like the art of pickling. Like you don't like anything pickled, or you just don't like pickles.
I just don't like pickles. I don't like cucumbers or pickles. I like
Do you like
pickled,
pickled
onions.
onions?
Yes,
Yeah,
love
yeah.
them.
Okay. Yeah, those are so good.
Do not like olives either.
I think at one point, didn't we have some some moonshine cherries at the office? We
Oh,
should have
bet
looked
those are
around
good.
for those.
We had
Yeah.
that for something. What was that for?
I don't
know.
remember.
Beth had an entire bar behind her office door for a while, so there's
We
no,
should've-
there's no telling what's
Yeah,
over.
done a little more investigating.
Sorry,
We
Beth.
could have poured a little vodka in a mason thing.
She brought it in for some event, and then
It had to be one of the cook-offs or one of the.
and
Yeah.
she forgot that all of it was back there. She was like, "I meant to bring all of that out for the." It was just.
Oh, she didn't even bring it out for the event. She did. Oh, wow.
Buy more.
Yeah. Everyone's like, I thought there was gonna be alcohol.
I just happened to see it one day. I went in there and she asked me to grab something out of that flyer stand by the door.
Yeah.
And I pulled the door aside and went to pull that
saw
thing
all
out,
that.
and I'm like, "There's a whole bar back here."
Beth?
A lot of the bourbon and whiskey places, they'll make moonshine before they have aged product on hand. So a lot of distilleries,
Yeah, because it
to
doesn't
get
take nearly
going,
long. Yeah.
they'll sell moonshine while they're aging some stuff. Same way they'll do vodka and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Stuff that doesn't need aged or aged as long. Or they buy their juice from somewhere else to make bourbon that's already aged 4 or 6 years, whatever it requires. I can't remember. But
I feel like moonshine was a pretty big thing around here for a long time too.
Oh,
Like,
God, yeah.
well, it still is. It's the most visited distillery in
Yeah.
the world, even more than
What?
like Glenlivet or Old Smoky.
Really?
Yeah.
Wonder how many
No
like
way.
old money families
More
are.
than like all the Irish distilleries and...
Well, maybe the world was exaggerating. Maybe in the United States,
But even more than like Makers or Jack Daniels?
yeah, I'd say they're more constant because those places are pretty spread out. If you ever do the bourbon
Yeah.
tour, it's not
But
like
I mean, like Makers and Jack have been around forever.
But at the same time, Makers and Jack take very specific people being interested in it. Like, not everybody likes
Same with
Jack.
Moonshine.
yeah, but I mean, but again, it's not like a huge tourist. I'd say that
What is it,
area
just
is
because
more
of the history
consistent.
of it, you think? More than anything? Because, I mean, Moonshine's just not that popular outside of the South or really Kentucky, East Tennessee,
Yeah, but
Nashville,
that distillery
North
over there
Carolina.
is most visited. I think it's just because it's
Well, that's-
more of a touristy area and
Gotcha.
it gets more,
Well, that makes sense given where it's at.
Right.
Like,
That's also part of we're visiting the Appalachian Hills,
Yeah,
and
right,
we're going to
right.
try moonshine.
That's what I'm
and
saying.
that's why
It's
you
like-
have it in Pikeville. You
Yeah.
have it in
well, that's why I was saying it's got to be more
Morgantown,
because
West
of the
Virginia,
history
and
of it.
stuff like that.
than-
Yeah.
The
I
best
mean,
museum
you
you
know.
could ever visit.
Is what?
Old
Moonshine?
Smoky Mountain.
Well, yeah.
I haven't been up there in years, honestly.
Is that your slogan?
Because, like,
Say,
I mean,
think-
if I was going from an alcohol perspective, I'm not going to go visit. I'd go visit Makers or I'd go visit.
Right. You're just doing it because you're there.
Right.
But as far as
That
like
I-
a
that
crowd
I
pleaser,
get,
though,
yeah.
even people that don't drink
Well,
moonshine
it's
would.
something else to do, and like you were saying, if you're
Yeah.
in Appalachian, Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg area.
In Bartstown, Kentucky, that's you've got to make an effort to get there.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many visitors they have a day.
Now
but
that I
I've
get-
been
that
in
I
Maker's
get.
Mark Distillery several times.
I know you've
I've
done the tour.
Yeah, several. That's the only one I've really done. You see one big thing of mash,
Pretty much seen them
and
all.
one stainless steel tower, and how they do the barrels.
I think
and
my
stuff
brother's
like that.
done that. My older brother, I think pretty sure he did.
Now the good thing about going to
Went
them
to
is
Makers.
you can they sell their wares in their shops a lot of time. Now some of them are still in dry counties. Same way if you
Yeah,
go to
like Lynchburg and-
Lynchburg, you can't
Yeah.
buy it there. You have to go outside
That's
of the
silly.
area. It's always
Yeah.
funny, but a lot of times you can buy their higher age stuff for retail versus
Versus
liquor
the-
stores
yeah.
or secondary. So
Which, my gosh, some of them just
yeah.
destroy you on the price.
Yeah.
But
You were talking about how you'd be willing to do part of the Appalachian Trail with me. I think it's more likely that we do a bourbon
Trail?
Yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say, I think we ought to do.
I
a
think
bourbon
you might have
trail
been
before we do
confusing the two.
trail.
It's not the
I could
same.
be talked into that.
Unless you bring your own. I don't think that that's allowed, but I'm sure you'd find
That's
a way.
when you wander off trail.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you're heading south instead of north.
Where's the sun? It moves. That's the thing, though, is that
Or-
the sun moves throughout the day. So
Not be afraid of
don't
bears.
ever ask me
or-
for directions.
Yeah.
look at the doggy.
Don't follow the sun, and don't. If you keep the sun at your back all day,
I'm staying on a trail.
What movie was that where someone did that? I can't remember. It was like a comedy. Was it City Slickers?
Probably a movie they
don't
cannot make
know.
anymore.
Oh man, it was so funny.
So many movies from my
I don't think it was City
teenage
Slickers.
years cannot be made anymore.
No, good gosh.
yeah.
A lot of the movies I grew up watching, you couldn't even make anymore.
Yeah, Porky's 1 through
Well,
5.
Porky's, those were so good.
No, they were so bad.
cancel culture is stupid.
Let's list all of them really quick.
No,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't even know how many there was.
And why?
Well, Tyler just summed it up. Cancel culture.
Oh, yeah, it's
Stupid.
great.
So stupid.
It's comedy. It's made to be funny.
Yeah.
Lighten up.
one
Get
of
off
the
my yard.
most early alarm systems. Well, I guess security systems, not alarm system. They would use hornets' nests.
Ooh, God.
Put it near the distillery.
Yeah, that'll do it.
I mean, there's like even such a hate of government, revenuers and stuff like that. There was I mean, in eastern Kentucky, it was probably, I don't know how many censuses ago, a government worker got attacked over in eastern Kentucky just because, he was knocking on someone's door and he worked for the government and, people freaked out,
The tax man's here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they were thinking, he's after my shine.
Yeah, revenuers.
Just carrying around a scroll that says, "You owe $5,000. Let me hand you your bill really quickly."
Because that's how it works,
That's how I get my tax bill.
Yeah, they just knock on your door. Here's your bill. You're like, thanks, Mr. Taxman. I was gonna say he's gonna start singing over there.
I knew it. As soon as you said it, I was waiting. I'm like, which one is gonna do it?
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was gonna be yours.
I was close, but I was like, I'm not gonna do it.
Would you have a
Time.
favorite moonshine?
Flavor wise or
Yeah, flavor.
cherry?
Yeah, apple pie, because that's a classic.
Yeah. Too
I think
I
I
like-
did a blackberry that was good. I think it was blackberry. Maybe it was blueberry.
Just straight white line.
It was one of the
Who needs-
B-berries.
Who needs a flavor?
Was it real blueberry or was it?
No, this
they-
was like
They had Kool-Aid? Because that's what a lot of people do.
Well, no, I mean it was like
Gross.
the Smoky Mountain
Oh.
moonshine. Like I think it was. I
I
think it
wonder
was
if
blueberry.
they actually add
I don't know what
berries
they
to
do
the mix
do it,
or if
but
they add an extract to the.
Some
I'm
of
sure
them.
it's an extract the majority of the time.
I'm going banana cream.
Oh,
banana
God, see, the cream. It's the cream. Cream and alcohol. I just can't do it. I just
But
can't do it.
it's not a cream though, is it? It's a
Yeah, it
clear.
is.
Is it
It's
a
cream.
Yeah,
Oh, is it a
it's
cream?
cr- oh, it's
Okay.
cream.
I thought they just made it flavored.
Oh, it's
No,
cream.
it's cream.
Yeah, it's creamy.
Yeah, I'll pass on that.
Yeah.
As much as I like bourbon cream, I'm not.
First time I ever tried that was at the Joe, because they had that little moonshine stand corner
Yeah.
over there, and that was one of the things was like banana cream something, and I was like, okay, I've got to try it.
Was it good?
It's good, but it's incredibly sweet.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just tastes. I don't know. It tastes like a banana split or
It's,
something.
it's like banana pudding or something.
What is the
like
proof
Yeah,
that.
on
banana
it?
pudding.
Is that a high proof?
Probably a 15%
yeah,
or
it's
something. Who
low.
knows?
Like drinking peppermint
Schnapps.
schnapps or
Oh, God.
what is the
Peach schnapps.
peach schnapps?
Yeah.
That's it. I was trying to think of that. Is that even a thing anymore?
They make a peppermint schnapps.
What they do, Rumpelmints is 100 proof. That's
Yeah.
like your gold slugger. That's on, but the low proof. Why
yeah, peach
even
schnapps.
drink that low of a?
Drink some Listerine.
Yeah.
Fireball gives me bad flashbacks to Rough Knots with Goldschlager.
I don't mind. Fireball.
I like Fireball though.
It's
do.
like,
I like
one
Goldschlager
liquor gives me
still to this
flashbacks
day.
to another liquor
Yeah.
that was.
Tequila now, like
Okay.
especially like Corvo 1800, because back in my day, 1800 was the creme
The
de la
year.
creme. But
Yeah.
wow, like I smell it now and I immediately get that.
God, that was an aggressive. Oh.
Yeah. We need to get an air freshener that smells exactly like that and just hang it on
I
his
mean
desk.
that
You know the little Fireball shooters.
Bacardi 151.
Those little Fireball shooters. Every now and then, God, one of those.
You
Just,
can buy those in like a big pack.
I know they sell them in like a big old case. Every now and then, one of those is just money.
I used to play darts with a buddy, and he was really good, and he would let me come a little bit close, and then he would just crush me. And loser had to drink a shot or buy the shot or whatever. I think he would just have to drink it. And I was always like, no rum.
Well, wouldn't you just
He would
wanna
always.
lose?
He
Like-
would no. I think you had to buy it.
Oh, you
or
had to buy it and drink
whatever
it.
they
Okay.
wanted. But he used to always do 151, and immediately like, I'm not a rum drinker. It either makes me want to cry or fight.
That's opposite ends there.
Yeah,
I'm either going to
that's why
cry
I was
or I'm
never
gonna beat you.
is like one of the very first things I ever drank as a teenager. Got drunk on.
Sounds
rum.
Sounds rough.
Yeah, it was a rough night. I do not remember that night at all.
Well, I think that's a good place to end that one before we get too many stories out of talk.
I was gonna say,
But before we
The
go, do you want to do
statue.
a Florida man for?
Oh.
I feel like
We hadn't done one.
New
in a
Year's
while.
Eve would be a good
Ooh.
one.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
we haven't done one in a while.
Well, we tried the last time. And
Yeah,
the
it
first
was
time
just
all-
awful.
Yeah, it was
so
horrible.
Florida Man, we're gonna do. We want to
New
do
Year's
New Year's
Eve.
Eve.
Yeah.
Okay. December 31st. Here we go.
Because the episode's going to come out on
New
New
Year's
Year's Day. But
Let's see.
New Year's Eve is when all the fun happens. So
Florida man who fell in water after drinking sprayed fire extinguisher on himself to dry off. That's a pretty good one. That's a pretty good one.
Blow them off or the dried chemicals?
No, it just said a Florida man that wasn't on fire thought he could dry himself off by spraying himself with a fire extinguisher after having fallen in the water.
oh man,
Interesting.
You
Yeah.
don't know until you try.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, that was. I don't think there's anything. I mean, that was just the first one.
Yeah,
That's a pretty good one.
yeah, pretty weird.
That's funny.
well, be sure to tune in next week and rate, review, and subscribe, and see y'all then.
See you guys.
Peace.
Happy New Year's.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. If you or someone you know is thinking about buying or selling real estate in East Tennessee, email us at holler@yarpod.com. You can also reach Brittany Hawkins at 423-270-9572, Todd Huber at 865-456-0101, Tyler Letner at 865-816-0076, and Nick Cantey at 865-250-5167. Our office at Wallace Real Estate can be reached at 865-584-4000. Make sure to ask for YARPod. See y'all next week.